Hello, welcome to the quick take. Fulham lost 2-1 up at St James's Park to Newcastle United, and it's getting pretty concerning, isn't it? 4 defeats in a row in the league, all competitions. All we're playing is in the league. Please don't make it 5 on Tuesday against Wycombe. Late Bruno Guimaraes goal breaks our hearts and costs us what would have been a really important point. Really important. Huge sucker punch. Obviously, it's a Calvin Bassey mistake. It was a Calvin Bassey mistake for their opener. We got ourselves back into the game and we have shot ourselves in the foot. Really shot ourselves in the foot. And my God, there's so much pressure on next week now. So much pressure. I can't put my finger on this. I cannot put my finger on what it is that's going wrong at Fulham. Because I would put this again into the same category as what happened at Villa, what happened at Bournemouth, at points of what happened at Arsenal. We weren't outclassed for 90 minutes. We had spells in this game. We had spells that proved that we are a good team. But poor decision making, both from players and from the coach. A lack of mentality. A lack of being able to see things out. Grind your way to the point or the 3 points that you deserve from the game. Look, we were by far and away the worst team in this game for large periods, but we're going away to St James's Park. Like, that can happen, right? We rode a wave during the first 15 minutes. Newcastle should have been miles ahead at halftime. It ended up only being 1. But we worked hard. We worked hard to get ourselves back into a game. And you know, I don't want to come on here and say, do what I did against Bournemouth and say that I think we either deserved a point or we deserve 3. We don't deserve anything, because if we have this mentality, this lack of bottle, we're not going to progress. And I do think there's an element of luck, timing, all of these things. We've had difficult fixtures. Everyone knows that. I don't want to press some giant panic button, but everyone around us is winning and Fulham isn't. We are the worst form side in the league by a mile right now. And that game against Wolves next week is now absolutely massive. The pressure is enormous on this Fulham team. We'll go through the game. Look, I mean, Newcastle should have been 1 up after about 2 minutes. I'm not sure how Nick Voltemada missed that. He hit the post from about 3 or 4 yards out. It was a poor bit of defending from a free kick that was taken quite well by Kieran Trippier, and then you felt like it was going to be 1-0 Newcastle almost straight away. We actually rode that wave, and I mean, the first goal that we conceded is so dumb. It was almost like at that point Fulham were getting a foothold in the game. We'd kind of contained the early pressure, we'd quietened down the St James's crowd a little bit, and Calvin Bassey just gets it all wrong, doesn't he? Too much time, too much deliberating on the ball, tries to find Sessegnon, and he gets robbed by Jacob Murphy. I must admit, I thought Murphy had made a mess of it. I thought he'd taken a bad touch. I thought he'd taken it too wide. He gets a really good shot off. I don't want to say that Bernd Leno should do better, because ultimately he shouldn't have been put in that position. It's a Calvin Bassey mistake. He maybe, might be a little bit disappointed when he looks back at it, but let's not go into Bernd Leno here, because it's Bassey's mistake. It's well finished from Jacob Murphy, 1-0. Murphy should have put them 2 up. He missed the easier one-on-one, in my opinion. Actually, Sessegnon caught out of position, and Bernd Leno did very well for that one. So, you've got to give kudos to Bernd Leno, and he saved us a few times in the match. And I think just getting to half-time 1-0 was a relief. Really, I mean, we just looked out of sorts. The formation wasn't really working. Traore looked like the most dangerous player, but the bar wasn't particularly high. Smith Rowe was ineffective. He actually should have done a lot better with the opportunity he got. It was from a Newcastle mistake. He was about 25 yards out, and it's just tame from Smith Rowe. And I guess when you're 25 yards out, am I expecting you to ping it into the top corner every time? No, but you got to kind of take those chances, Smith Rowe. When you've not been in the team and you get presented with something like that, you got to work the keeper a bit harder. And Marco at half-time made the right sub Smith throw it off and Kevin on. Kevin then was on the left wing and Iwobi moved centrally, despite kind of talking about on Friday how he doesn't see Iwobi as a central player. And it really worked. Almost instant impact, really. Kevin's raw, isn't he? He is quite frustrating, but also brilliant. Newcastle were in panic stations as soon as he was on the ball, and him and Iwobi were just really working well together because Iwobi's so smart. He knows that if you get Kevin one-on-one against Kieran Trippier, then Kevin is going to do stuff. So Iwobi is smart enough to hold on to the ball until the right time where Kevin is one-on-one. I mean, it just worked brilliantly. He had a moment where he should have done a lot better, where I think Raul found Kevin and he hit this kind of wild cross that went nowhere. But second time, he didn't get it wrong. Raul was found at the back post via a little deflection, and really brave from Sasa Lukic, a brilliant header to bring us back into the match. And it was no more than we deserved at that point. We'd really grown into the match. We'd got Newcastle on the ropes. We got our equaliser. At that point, it was looking great for us. I think the system was working. Adama was causing Dan Burn issues down our right-hand side. Kevin was obviously working down the left. Iwobi playing brilliantly in the middle. Raul doing everything he can up front. You had Sander and Sasha. It all seemed to be balanced. And look, Newcastle made subs. Of course they did. They threw on the cavalry. They brought on Alanga. They brought in Harvey Barnes. It was all okay. I mean, Newcastle did miss a huge chance through Bruno Guimaraes. They had a few moments, but all in all, it was fine. We were getting away with it. Joe Linton hit the side netting. It felt like Fulham were going to grind out this 1-1 draw. This Fulhamish Quick Take is brought to you by My Kind of Cruise, the world's first cruise booking app and website. And what better escape from the upcoming cold winter months than escaping on a sea voyage? Sun on your face, drinks on tap, and you don't even need to miss a Fulham game, as most cruises actually show all the Premier League matches, even the 3 p.m. ones. My Kind of Cruise has unbeatable prices, and you can pay deposits as little as £1. So whether you're a seasoned cruiser or thinking about your first voyage, go to My Kind of Cruise, founded by a fellow Fulham fan. Download the app now from the Apple or Google Play Store, or head over to mykindofcruise.com and make sure you use the code Fulhamish at checkout for an exclusive discount. Marco made a couple of baffling subs though. Tom Cairney on for Sasha Lukic. Okay, maybe Lukic is coming back from an injury, but can't he do another 5 minutes? He was doing a job in there. He also brought on Josh King. Now, I don't think this is anything against Josh King, but it effectively meant Adama came off and then Iwobi had to move out to the right. It didn't work. It really didn't work because suddenly Iwobi wasn't helping out Kevin. Iwobi wasn't really doing anything on the right, whereas at least Adama offered a bit of a threat against Dan Burn. And Josh King was trying to find Raul Jimenez with passes, but by that point, Raul was out of steam and wasn't going to do an awful lot by that point, and it just invited this pressure. Will Asula came on, and look, instantly he got onto the pitch, and he looked like a bit of a handful. He's just a running machine, isn't he? He closed down Fulham defenders, and obviously he has a massive impact on their goal. It's a big mistake from Bassey. It's just slack from Bassey. It's just really, really slack. You're defending a 1-1 draw. And he just undercooks the pass to Sessegnon. Sessegnon's out of position and you could just see it. You were like, oh no. I thought we'd just about done enough. Bernd Leno saved it. It falls to Guimaraes. It's not on Bernd Leno again. It's just slack from Bassey and he's making more and more mistakes. And I was kind of excited to see him and Diop today. It didn't really click. It didn't really gel. I think Diop was fine and he dealt with Voltemada for the most part. I know Newcastle fans were livid thinking that he was fouling him, but in my opinion, from where I was watching it, just looked like a fair battle between two big footballers. Trust. It's, that tinkering from Marco, I think some blame's got to go onto him. And just a lack of nous. It's 1-1 at St James's Park. You've done so well to get back into this game. See it out. Don't take risks. It's just so infuriating. And then Look, this isn't really the important part, but the 5 minutes after we conceded where there was still a bit of added on time, and there was added on time, oh my God, we were embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. We brought on Kusi Asari. It's good to see that he is real. He didn't do an awful lot, won a couple of flicks. What are we doing? Hit the ball in the box, lads. Give it to Bernd Leno. Stick it long. There was one moment where Diop passed to Bassey, who was just in a daydream, it looked like, and it went to Will Asula, who couldn't believe his luck. I mean, he probably actually should have finished the game off there and then. But my God, I nearly threw a remote at my laptop when that was all going on. I mean, I didn't expect us to go and get an equaliser by that point. The game was done, but give ourselves a chance. Jeez. Oh. I'm trying not to be worried. I'm trying to stay rational about Fulham right now because it is a good sign that in each of these matches, we haven't been comprehensively beaten in any of them. We've been ahead or we've equalised. We've had good moments. We've challenged every team that we've faced on a difficult run. And there's a lot to be said for that. But ultimately, the results are 0 points from 4 games. And that Wolves game now, the pressure is just enormous because if you do lose that, then you've got to go to Everton. All of a sudden, we're in an absolute tailspin here. I think this is the most pressure that Marco's been under in his whole tenure as Fulham manager. Arguably, this is one of the biggest games we've had since promotion. Realistically. Because this is how bad runs start. It's not always a car crash from the beginning. Sometimes it is just a few results here and there that go against you. And if belief starts to go from this Fulham team, I think right now we do have belief. We still think that we can go to any ground and challenge them. And they're right to think that because the evidence is literally there. We went to St James's Park today and showed a really good account of ourselves. My worry is that if defeat after defeat after defeat happens, if that belief goes, you're in a really dangerous situation. And this is not the season for Fulham to be doing this either. Because none of the promoted teams look like they're just going to go down without a fight. I mean, Sunderland have just won at Stamford Bridge. Leeds won last night. Burnley are picking up results. I think we have to hope that Wolves and West Ham stay as useless as they are. And that's why that game is just, coming around the corner and is just fundamentally huge. So, yeah, this is a bit of a rant today. I'm obviously pretty fresh, pretty raw after what was a pretty bitter pill to swallow. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you did head up to St James's Park today, look, safe travels home. Great support today up in the northeast, considering the fact that there were no trains and the flight prices were extortionate. So yeah, big shout out to the travelling fans today, but you deserve more than that, really. You really, really do. And it must have been pretty heartbreaking to watch that happen after the valiant performance that we put in to get defeated like that in the end is a real sucker punch. Thanks for watching. And podcast will be out on Monday with more reaction, and there'll be some reaction as well on the Fulhamish website. You whites.